Thank you for joining me here on Gold and Blue Tube. I decided to do a video to recap the Texas Tech game and do a small preview of the Kansas State game. Now, in the Texas Tech game, the first quarter was just about as bad as it gets. 21-3 at the end of the first quarter. Everybody was hanging their heads. I will say we did fight throughout the whole game, but it was pretty much over by then. Now, at the end of the game, I looked at the statistics, and surprisingly, West Virginia led statistically except for two key things. Turnovers, which we had 4, and just couldn't get the ball in the end zone. But as far as total yards go, Texas Tech had 481, and West Virginia had 549. So that's like a 70, 80 yard difference, and West Virginia won in that category. Also, in the first down category, West Virginia had 25, Texas Tech had 22. Time of possession, pretty much dead even. So, West Virginia really didn't have trouble moving the ball. It was getting the ball into the end zone and committing turnovers that killed us. So, in the Texas Tech game, Austin Kendall was 26 for 43, 355 yards, and yes, 2 interceptions. We're all used to it by now. Our wide receiver, Sam James, 14 receptions for 223 yards. Monster game for that kid. I'm very happy for him. That was a monster game for him. Well done. Running game, not so much. Letty Brown, leading rusher, 6 carries for 16 yards. That's just sad. Wow, I didn't even realize it was that low. That's not good at all. We have got to get the run game going. Our defense plays their butts off. Now, for this game, I'll say they probably had an emotional letdown from losing that Baylor game because they played their tails off in that game and ultimately came up short. That's probably the best game they've had all year, so that would be my guess. This was an emotional letdown game. They still stayed in there and fought, so I still have to give them credit. And I'm liking what I'm seeing on special teams. Instead of it being a liability like it was under Holgorsen, it's been an asset. We've had some punt blocks and even a kick return. Wow, when was the last time we saw that? So that was nice to see. That was in the Baylor game. So for the year, for West Virginia, Austin Kendall is 187 for 304 with 1,989 yards passing. So once again, yes, he can move the ball. 12 touchdowns. That's not too bad, but then there's the 10 interceptions. You have to cut that down. That's not good at all. Now for our receiver, Sam James. He has 56 receptions for 623 yards. 2 touchdowns. That last game was his monster game. I see a lot of potential in this kid, and he's a hard worker, good work ethic. So we'll see what the future has in store for him. Now, moving on to Kansas State, the team that we are playing this Saturday, their quarterback, Skylar Thompson, he's much more efficient than Austin Kendall. He doesn't have quite as many passing yards, but he does what he needs to do to win football games. They've had a pretty decent year so far. He's 124 for 204, 9 touchdowns, but only 1 interception. So that is important, only 1 interception. Their run game is better than West Virginia's. Still not great, but anything compared to West Virginia's game is going to be a step above. Their running back, James Gilbert, has 100 attempts for 558 yards, averaging 5.6 yards a carry. So our run defense is going to be very important in this game. If we can get them on 3rd and longs and then, cover them crossing patterns and the post routes, that'll help tremendously. So if we can get off the field on those 3rd downs, then maybe we'll have a chance to keep this ball game close going into the 4th quarter. Remains yet to be seen, and the mistakes on offense. So we're all hoping Daggy gets more playing time, and heck, it'd be nice to see him start this game and see what the kid has. He looked pretty good in the limited time he had against Texas Tech, so let's see what he has. Austin Kendall, I know him and Coach Brown are close, and he gave him all the opportunities in the world and kept in mind the redshirt rules for Deggy. Well, the redshirt rules are no longer, a part of the equation. Don't have to worry about that anymore. So let's give Deggy some significant time, if not start. That would be awesome. Now, the last game that Kansas State had was against Texas. Skylar Thompson was 17 for 27, 253 yards for 2 touchdowns. Decent game. Not phenomenal, but a decent game. They had 304 total yards and 17 first downs. So they're not a dynamic offensive football team. So if our defense comes to play like they have most of the year, they've only had 2 down games. That was the Oklahoma and this last game, Texas Tech. So if they come to play like they've been playing most of the year, we could have a chance going into the fourth quarter. I'm not trying to get our hopes up and then we're like, oh man, here we go again. I'm going to get killed. I'm just saying, if they play like they're capable of playing the Stills brothers, we will have a chance going into the fourth quarter. Personally, I don't think we're going to win this ball game. The spread is 14. I think it'll be right at that. My final score is going to be West Virginia 20, Kansas State 34. But if certain things go our way, maybe a bounce goes our way, maybe we get a key interception or a key return, who knows? This wouldn't be the biggest upset ever, but it would be an upset. And if things fall into place and, interceptions kept down, that means we want to see more Daggy. We want to see more Daggy, less interceptions. I know Kendall can move the ball, but he also gives the ball away. And that will kill momentum and kill the ball game. So, let's see how Daggy does. Get him in there. See how he does with substantial time. And see if we can get him to be the starter. I think he'll be the starter for next year. So, let's just start him the rest of the year. That's my opinion. Of course, the coach sees what he sees in practice. But I do think the redshirt rule was a major factor for him keeping Kendall on the field for as long as he did. And to be honest with you, Kendall has been very serviceable. It's just those daggum interceptions and lobbing the ball on those deep balls. There's been many, many times where the guy's wide open, and if he would have just took a little bit of air out from underneath the ball, that would have been a touchdown. And hitting guys in stride, he needs to work on that. So let's see some more Daggy, and let's go Mountaineers. Hey, if you like my content, like and subscribe, and leave me some comments. Good, bad, ugly, doesn't matter. I'll do my best to answer them. So leave me some comments, and let's go Mountaineers.